right, guys. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started this morning? Glad you're here. Happy Friday. Thank you for joining us. I deeply appreciate our guest, Mei Xu, correct? Joining us today. Thank you so much. We're going to be in webinar format. Again, we're taping this episode, so please introduce yourselves on chat. And let me talk first about what Purse Power is. Purse Power is working to help women use their massive purchasing power to drive positive change. Women make 80% of all purchasing decisions. We believe that if women collectively would choose to buy from the companies that actively promote women, and if we could create a funding stream for battered women's shelters in the process, that we could shatter glass ceilings and change lives. And that's what we're here trying to do. We began these calls back when coronavirus started as a way to connect you, the female entrepreneurs, with each other and connect them with some of the leading thinkers in the nation. And I am so excited that Mei's here today. She's going to give us some tremendous insight and value. We will be asking questions later on in the broadcast. So if you please go ahead and capture those as we go, I'd appreciate it. And then be sure to get ready to put them in the Q&A box when we're ready for those. Okay, so Mei is the founder and CEO of two global companies, Bliss Living Home and Chesapeake Bay Products, Bay Candle. She successfully negotiated the sale of Chesapeake Bay Candle to Newell Brands in 2017. And that's a conglomerate with a $14 billion portfolio of consumer goods. Mei is now focused on helping women-owned consumer product companies grow and prosper with Yes She May. It's a product platform, and we'll be talking about that in just a few minutes. Mei's entrepreneurial success story has been highlighted in the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, NPR, the Baltimore Sun, CNBC, and MSNBC, and many others. Mei also actively participates in impact investing and serves as a trustee for the University of Maryland, Baltimore. She's been recognized by prominent organizations such as Smart CEO with the Bravo Award and the Asian American Chamber of Commerce with the Business Leader of the Year Award. I think you've also been recognized by Enterprising Women magazine, haven't you?
I have.
What was that award?
The Hall of Fame by Enterprising Women. So that's such a tremendous honor.
Very nice. Yes, of course. And Monica's the one that referred you to me. So thank you very much to Monica if she's on. All right. So let's go ahead and begin. First of all, how did you decide to become an entrepreneur? Give me a bit of your backstory, please. And what prepared you?
I was born and raised in China during the Cultural Revolution. When I was growing up in 1979, China opened to the rest of the world, thanks to no small part to President Nixon, who visited China and changed the dynamic of the two countries' relationship. I was one of the first to be enrolled to be trained as a diplomat at the young age of 12. I went into boarding school to learn English in an immersion manner. And as I was training to become a diplomat, I went further to go to study in Beijing, and I worked for the World Bank most of the time when I was in college. And I was very happy to continually work for the World Bank. Only the year I graduated was 1989. When Tiananmen Square freshly happened, I was sent to work in a warehouse away from Beijing. Not a lot of practice of English, in fact, labor work. So I resigned. I came to the United States, went to enroll in University of Maryland, hoping to be a journalist. But that wasn't going to happen either when I graduated in 1992 because of the war we had at that time. And US, as the biggest financial sponsor of the World Bank, refused to pay for that year's due. And there was not a lot of jobs to be filled at the bank. I was in New York, fulfilling a very uninspiring role when I started to have a lot of spare time in the evening. I was going through a lot of the fashions in Bloomingdale next to me. When I started to notice the gap, I noticed fashion was very forward with Donna Karan's design, very minimalist. But when you go up to the top where the home stores are, it's very grandma-ish. It's very small prints. You know, the corners are very ornate. So I see there's a contemporary point of view that was missing. And that's when I decided to quit my job. And my then husband and I started a business. So that was out of necessity, I would say, and desperation.
Wow. Well, that's the cause for a lot of people. And I'll bet you, I personally think that a lot of women are going to start businesses during this time. Do you agree with that for the same reason?
Absolutely. So imagine that was the reason why I started a business is we have a mini recession in 1992 and 1993, and jobs are very difficult to find. And when I set up the business, I was not focused on candle. It was a trade show in Charlotte, North Carolina that exposed me to the potential of candles because it's a consumable business and it was waiting to be reformed. It was mostly very boring grandma's cookie jar candles, very boring fragrances. In my view, it's always apple pies and vanillas. And I said, something has to be done because someone like me would not want to have all these very old fashioned jars. I want something more contemporary. So that really opened the opportunity. And then we opened factories in China when the trade between the two countries was in the honeymoon stage. And we further opened a factory during another recession, we opened a factory in 2002 in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
So my journey are filled with recession related opportunities and challenges. And every time we turn a corner because of necessity. And that's what I want to focus on is that bad things happen, but it cannot be the end of the story. You can make it the beginning of a good thing.
Very good. Love that. We need that right now. All right. So you have started, sold, grown and sold these two highly successful businesses. Can you please tell us about that journey, the highs and lows? Just really like to hear about what kept you going through all of it.
Well, I would say competitive at heart. Um, it was easy recognition that we need to focus on candles in the beginning. And I must say, as soon as we focus on that, we were rewarded. So I can't say the beginning was difficult. What was really difficult was calling on big companies, trying to get some kind of real estate in major companies. Now, unlike now, where you could be selling on Etsy's or Amazon, you could have a lot more power to grow your business. In those days, 1990s, our retail industry here in the US really is dominated by big boxes, right? They're the Bed Bath & Beyond, Target, Walmart, Macy's. If you're not in one of those stores, you really don't scale. So it's very hard to knock on their doors. And I remember feeling very rejected. You know, I was calling on Target probably 5 months in a row. Every single week, I leave a phone. Remember, those are the days without email. And I would never get a call back. So those were the hard times. You really have a war in front of you, and you can feel very deflated each time you feel that no one really wants to hear from you, even though from the feedback of those stores that sold your product, it's a great item. You cannot find a way to really let people discover you. In other words, you really don't have access to the market.
So how did you overcome that?
Well, I think one of the things I go back is the sense of grit, right? You and I were talking about this word. I do believe as women, we are already a little better prepared to have grit because just the way that we have period each month, we have to give birth to babies, we have to take care of the family and ourselves and our mothers and our fathers, and then the household and holding on to a job. It's challenging. So I think we are more wired to be having more grit. But with that said, grit alone is not enough. I think it's also being able to really invest in understanding the market trend. I always say one of the things that allowed me to be a good observer and a good student of trends is because I have the ability to be using the different lenses. You know, I came here as a foreigner, as an immigrant. A lot of things were new to me. Rather than isolating myself and surround myself with the familiar things, I was a very eager student to appreciate, to absorb, and to tell why something worked and why something don't. So gradually, I think I acquired a very strong ability to really predict trends and really capitalize on those trends. So before the contemporary lifestyle really take hold in the home business, I was one of the few to insist that we want more fresh, clean, and streamlined design aesthetics, trying to use design to make a statement versus pricing, even giving a industry like candle uh, a canvas where we can put contemporary print on them versus always follow the market in terms of the same old candle fragrances. So that paid off. I think I was the first company in the candle industry to have a design team when I was even a small company. You know, I have designers. We travel around the world. We were able to really find fragrances that is native to those countries. And we were able to tell the story. How many times now we're hearing people like storytelling, but back in the 1990s, we were telling stories through fragrances, through colors, through labels, through lifestyle. And consumers have not seen those so readily available. And it's not just at very high-end boutiques, but also stores like Target, stores like Kohl's, who are very, very connected to consumers. Because tell me one person that doesn't need a toilet paper or a baby diaper. You know, they go to those stores for all kinds of things. And when they see a candle that speaks to them, there's no barrier. So we were fortunate that we did the right thing at the right time. A little bit ahead of the curve is what I would call. It takes you a little bit ahead of the curve, not following. I think that's how small business can break out these days.
Absolutely.
One of the things.
Well, one of the things that's occurring to me as you're talking is you had the advantage in this case of coming from another culture that gave you the eyes to see how things really look. From people inside the culture, do you have any suggestions for them about how they might be able to do the same thing?
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, I say it not for political reason. I say it as a student of culture, as a student of business, that don't underestimate the power of observing and the power of immersing yourself. Remember, the word is immersive. You know, it's one thing to say, I really truly want to do a collection that is inspired by, you know, our heritage of Virginia. It's another to spend some time there, going to a shop, you know, drink the water, you know, drink the wine, and really understand what is the essence, the undescribable, or the things that no one has really captured. You know, it's up to us to be also open-minded. I think that's a very important thing, is to be a good business person, we have to be very open-minded. We have to allow ourselves to fail and learn, and allow ourselves to succeed without apology, because that's how we grow. I think people think that business people, once they are successful, they stop growing. They just take compliments. That's not the truth. Every day I'm trying to learn, you know, how to make my search engine powerful, how to work with Facebook, since they, you know, you and I talk about how difficult it is to talk to the government of Facebook. It feels like the government, because I can't even get one person answering an email, right? And we spend hundreds of dollars on Facebook ad, and I'm just wanting them to give us like some guidance. How difficult can it be? We're representing so many women. You're not helping me alone, you're helping all the women. So I think we need to open our vision, and look at sometimes from industries that not really is yours to look at. I looked at a lot of food industry for inspiration. Incredibly innovative, from labels to flavors to even new materials. And I look at them all the time. I look at technology companies about the way they advertise, they market. I'm a very curious person. There's nothing that doesn't interest me, you know. So does that sounds like a interesting combination of business and just curiosity. And I think they do go hand in hand.
Absolutely. I think that's really good advice, and it helps you think differently when you do that. That's great. Innovatively.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I actually want to add, Donna, that I actually instilled this as a discipline in my company. So every Friday, when I was the CEO at Chesapeake Bay Candle, we had a blue sky thinking day where my designers, my product managers were invited. And the only thing is they can't talk about our business. They can talk about what TV series they're chasing now, what restaurant they went to, what movies they watched, what music they listened, and I want them to say why they like it. And it was the best experience for all of us because it too opened their eyes and opened their views about how to be inspired by just everything around us.
Amazing, amazing. I've never heard of anybody doing that before. That's a fantastic idea. All right, so how did you fund your growth? Did you pitch to VCs? What audiences did you go to for funding? And then if there were preconceived notions about you as a female entrepreneur, how did you overcome that?
Regarding the funding, I do know it is one of the biggest issue for female-owned businesses. And that's why, as you introduced me, I am an impact investor. I have been joining quite a few committees where we make decisions to invest in socially progressive ideas. And one of them, SoCal Venture, is actually founded by two millennial women, and we only invest in women-owned businesses. So if anybody is interested in applying for any consideration, we can follow up on the different funds that I feel I'm on the committee that I certainly can help push certain ideas. But when I started, unfortunately, in 1992 and 94, I tried to go to a few VCs in China because our factory is in China. And I tried to introduce to them this idea of a fragrance candle business where we would design fragrances and ship them from the US back to China because they don't have a fragrance industry that is comparable to what we have here. For candle industry, it's a different formulation issue. And then they would finish the manufacturing and ship them back here. And when I explain this idea to the VCs, they say, what are you going to produce? I said, fragrance candles. They say, we know, but what does fragrance candles do? And I said, they're fragranced. People like them and they use them. And they say, what does that do? When they keep asking me, what does that do? I know I lost them. You know, no one's ever going to invest in a company that they don't A, use, B, they don't understand. And in general, I do know that consumer product companies, particularly not considered low, high tech, has been never able to get funding, never. So I didn't get funding that way. I was doing what I would call very bootstrap way. I borrowed from families and friends, also from friends' friends. At some point, our borrowing rate is over 15%. It's very high. We need a lot of cash to build a factory. So luckily for me, I started to work with major account even within the first year. So we did $500,000 of business in first 4 months. That
Congratulations.
Cash flow the first year, positive cash flow and positive profitability in the first quarter. And then we were able to basically, the factors where you can, factors means you can borrow money to finance your invoices. And we obviously set up the factory so that we also can negotiate with vendors to have a little bit longer payment terms. So a combination of that and then financing the invoices from major retailers got us through most of our challenges. We even built our factory in Maryland. We built a factory in 2009 and 10 and 11 during the last financial crisis. And it was also all our own cash as well as borrowing. So unfortunately, during my process of growth, I haven't been able to tap into the capital market. I'm planning to this time, when I talk new business again, because I do believe that when you are able to get fundings in the right way with the right partner, you really can get more than just capital. You get a lot of support.
Yes, and advice, good solid advice too.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you as an investor. So when you're looking at these businesses you're considering investing in, what are you looking for? What's important to you?
It's very important that I really invest in a person. I never just invest in the concept or the product. It's really the person. Because at the beginning stage, most of the concept, ideas, execution, but interestingly, the culture and the culture between the members of the management extremely important. Are you investing in someone stubborn and never listen, Or are you investing in someone who's progressive, who's hungry, but also open-minded? Because it's a CEO is someone that has to reconcile all the different opinions and make very decisive decisions after that. So first I listened and I looked at the person we're investing in or the people we're investing in. The second, I want to see if that idea is truly innovative or at least incremental. I never invest in business whose proposition is savings and value. While I believe those are important ingredients, I don't believe on its own it can have a very sustainable future. So innovation, incremental capability of growth are very important to me. And then the third thing, I want to see if there's addressable market that allow it to scale. Scale not by 10%, but 100%. And then I ask myself the question, if this is the addressable market, if it's $1 billion market, it's $1 trillion market, are they in a position to compete, or are they going to always follow? And does that matter for the growth or the existence of this business? So yes, it's a lot to consider. That's why probably we, in general, approve 1 out of 10 that we agree to look at, not just those who knock on the door, right? When we agree to look at something, some of the base are already covered. But interestingly, I have to tell you, Donna, I have never seen such active investment going on right now, particularly on socially impactful business. There's such tremendous appetite to invest on women's business, in sustainable business, in new sort of socially encouraging trends, such as giving access to easy psychological treatment to college students, ways to share the economy. So I think it's a great time to start a business. I did one myself just recently. So I do believe tumultuous times are actually great times for business to start.
There's opportunity there. Absolutely. All right. So looking back over your career, what are the biggest lessons you've learned that you'd like to share with the women on this call?
Biggest lesson is to never set low bars for yourself. I think I suffered some of that myself when I look back at some of the point where I could even make bigger bets and take bigger challenges. I kind of persuaded myself to not do that. Looking at the women I met now, I mean, look at them. They set their eyes so high and they're succeeding. You know, you look at, in my business, you look at the founders of Lossier, the founders of Away, you know, the founders of, these two women, Pocket and Elizabeth, who started Sogal Ventures. We have tremendous amount of desire and ambition. And I think that's what I regretted, is that I was not being told that what you're doing, setting up a factory, for example, is not only unprecedented, it's going to give you such a credibility in the marketplace, which it did, that I could have sort of put more on the plate, so to speak. But I was having cancer at that time in 2000.
My gosh.
That's why I also decided to sell the business, because it was going to be a long treatment. I'm not here to regret, because everything that I did, I do feel is responsible, and it's very helpful to the business to have continuation if my treatment delay anything, or if it didn't turn out to be successful. I was going through chemotherapy, research, all the radiation therapy, and that was almost a year-long treatment. So had I not had that disruption and challenge, I may still hold the business. A lot of people ask me, and I never really talk about it in detail. I don't know. The question is, I am ready for a new challenge. I am ready for sharing my platform. I don't want to just run a business. I want to share a business.
Very good. Well, congratulations on overcoming some serious challenges. All right. If you could talk to yourself when you were first starting out, what do you wish you would have known, and how would you have prepared yourself?
I think one of the things I realized, and I think you and I talked about it briefly, was the lack of reaching out to men and women of power and try to find mentors. I
Mm-hmm.
do feel as women, we have such a huge amount of diverse responsibilities as wife, as mother, as sisters and daughters. And we don't allow ourselves all the time to socialize or networking. I still have a very hard time grappling with a 4 hour golf tournament, for example. I would not be able to do it because I don't know what to do with 4 hours with
Mm-hmm.
just hitting a ball. I was joking about this with my, friend that I met, and I say, that's why I don't feel I belong in the board situation, because all board meetings, all board decisions are pretty much made on a golf course. And when you're not there, you're kind of not in the group.
Uh,
So, but what it is that I feel women should do instead of trying to fit in as a golf player is to find other ways to meet other people. And not just people of your own gender, but men, younger men, older women, younger women. Not just people in your business, a writer, a social worker, a teacher. There's so much wisdom around. I wish that I knew it when I was a startup, and I don't just put my head working, going home, working, going home. I need to have some diverse plans and purposely put myself out there to talk to people.
yeah.
I regretted that.
So talk to me a little bit more about the kinds of people you think we need to be reaching out to. What is most beneficial?
There are a lot of good bankers. I always think about your bank manager is one of your first go-to person to be introduced just in
Mm-hmm.
your community. I truly believe that as we are globally connected on all these virtual Zooms, more than ever, we need that local touch. We
Mm-hmm.
need our local community. And that's why we are so invested in this Washington, D.C. area, because here it's like a little United Nations. Every single culture is represented, every single point of view is represented, not just gently, but very fiercely. And
Yeah.
from here, you could count yourself in the middle of a focus group for your product, for your critics, for your ideas, for your banking relations, for your finance, you name it, it's here. So I just feel your bankers, and then a lot of women organizations are all over the country now, right? There's a book club somewhere, there's a women's support group, other places. So I do feel those are very good network to start. And Facebook too has a lot of women's group. We have one, it's called Yes She May. We welcome all the listeners and all the participants of other women's events to join us, because that's how, that's how you give some, you get some, that's how communities can grow.
Sure, absolutely. All right, I want to give you a chance to talk about Yes, She May. Uh,
So
so,
excited about that. And it is called Yes, She May, because we think every woman may be able to do what they want, but they need to want to do it, right? So we want to encourage this thought is that, yes, you may do this. Yes, you may do that. The world is your oyster. It's only as good as you want it to be. We started this truly because we were helping a lot of women around the world. I think our team talked to more than 300 women starting for 2018 when I stepped down as the CEO of Chesapeake Bay Candle. I was approached by many women's organizations, or even just organizations that wants to grow more women's participation. And the questions usually are very similar to yours. How did
mhm.
you grow, May? How did you even start thinking about factories? Why candles? Why not fashion? So I heard a lot of those, and I think one of the most striking things that are common does not matter if it's United States women business owners or those in Korean or those in Italy, are two things: access to capital, access to market. They
Mhm.
just feel helpless when it's about competing with Amazon, competing with Alibaba, for example, in China. They
Mm.
feel trapped, and they also feel they could not be discovered, because it's like finding their product is like finding needles in a haystack.
Yeah.
right? There's no priority, there's no brand stories. It's just the product, the price. And if you don't reduce your price, you're never going to be discovered. So a lot of them are frustrated, and we were trying to coach them about building up a brand recognition, engaging social media and storytelling. We truly believe that women-owned business need to think more about the idea of founders forward. Make yourself being the name, the brand, the face of your brand, because people need transparency against what is going on the other larger platform. They need to connect with the founders and understand, why does she make this product? Who does she work with? How does she make it? So we were trying to convince them this is a better approach rather than trying to compete on the price point. And then come the pandemic, as you and I know it, in March, all the stores are closed and they got a lot of cancellations. Mom and pop stores closed, and first thing they do, they call my women vendors and say, cancel my orders for spring, cancel my orders for summer. We are not going to have any business. So they went from 3 people, 2 of which may be part-time, to 1. They become, the seller, the maker, the shipper, you name it, the customer service rep, all by 1. So that's when we decided we have to prevent them from going under. And we want to make sure that we sort of share some resources, because we already are thinking about a platform. So we set it up in June. I mean, fast and furious. In June, we opened to business. The difference between Yes She May and the Etsy, I have to say, or an Amazon, which I worked with before I left the company, was that those two are open platforms. So you can become a vendor, you read a lot of documents, you understand, and you going in and you learn your way around. To me, I think this becomes very difficult for brands to really distinguish itself. It becomes like finding needles in a haystack. And I don't know if you know this, I do feel there's a downward pressure for pricing. If you go on a lot of those websites, if someone is selling, similar looking jewelries, the next person selling it will lower it by maybe $1. And then the third person will lower it by another $2. So you don't see great quality and great material, because everyone is really focused on one thing, which is pricing. And I don't want that to happen. I also don't think it's easy for consumers, right? When you're consumers and you want to find something and you find 200 vendors, what does that say to you? Do you really know how to find the right one?
Differentiate, yeah.
So that's why we want to have a platform that's truly curated. We personally test every single product, which is not easy, but there's no brand that has come to our website that we don't know. We personally test all the shoes, all the clothing, to know that they fit, to know that they don't make us uncomfortable. We put skincare product on all our faces to make sure we don't break out, and they actually do what they promise.
Good for you.
It's a good old-fashioned way. Hello, this is the way that it used to work. Let's go back to the original plan, which is be a good merchant for our consumers.
How about that?
There's no easy way, right? So it takes us a long time. I mean, we still have just around 50 vendors, so to speak. But boy, they come from 5 corners of the world. I mean, 4 corners of the world. Did I say 5?
It's all good. There probably are by now.
4 corners of the world. We have all continents, except I would say Australia and New Zealand has not yet been represented everywhere. We have Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America, and very exciting. But we do have challenges. I think I mentioned to you that we can't get any sort of the government of Google, the government of Facebook. When can we get them to be a player with us? Why does it seem to be so hard to get some attention when Kim Kardashian clearly does not need any more attention? We just need to give some of our women some more.
Some other people. Yes.
Maybe we just need to figure it out. But in the meantime, I think what message I want to send is that, at least for me, it makes perfect sense to find those companies, because it's not because they're owned by women. They have great product. I'm not apologetic to say that their quality is in some cases better than designer brands that you see on some of the more trendy websites. And also, they hire other women. One of our brand called Mia Peru, it's called Mothers in Action.
Hmm.
And there are mothers who actually straddle their babies on their back. That's their healthcare everywhere, making food for the home, making dinner for the home, and then making our sweaters together. And they straddle their babies in the back. I saw them when I was, not this group, but other Peruvian women when I went to Machu Picchu. And this is a very organic way of life, and you're supporting that. What does that mean when you spend $200 and that woman can have food on the table, children in school, versus when you send it to God knows what other site, which doesn't even make a dent for their sales. So I do think it may not be clear to us, and that's our job to tell our founders. We need them to tell that story. Makes a huge.
Excellent. All right. Let's see here. So you talked about mentoring and connecting earlier with female entrepreneurs. And people, I would love it if you would go ahead and think about your questions. We're going to ask you for your questions here in a minute. But why is it so important to connect? And why is it so important to find and mentor others? What difference does that make?
I do feel there's a lot of sort of regrets, as well as sort of hoping that people learn from what I learned, right? All the generations before us wishes that we become smarter and wiser. And I think it's a very basic sort of progression of humankind. And on a very basic level, for me, it's painful to see the struggles of those in a business that have such great ideas, have such great workmanship, and yet not, it's just, the world is not set up this way to identify them easily. And we used to have trade shows, and the trade shows are not happening right now. So how can they even meet buyers, right?
Yes.
So I think it's the word of mouth. It's platforms such as ours, whose very singular vision is to find the best of alpaca vendors, the best crystal makers, the best swimwear designers, the best shoemakers, so that not only are we saying women are confident and they're very competitive in what they're doing, they also stand for more transparency, in my view. They do put the money back into their community. They do put the money back into their own family, which isn't that a way to see the progress of a society, in a bigger goal. So I have tremendous hope that your podcast and many others are setting up this forum. It's not just a mentoring, it's a dialogue, right? Mentoring is a big, am I truly mentoring others, or I'm learning from them? I truly need to learn from them. I was just learning from Courtney here how to use an iPhone as I talk, so I can video my own speech. I'm learning every day, and for them, they can do it so much better than me. So I guess mentoring is a good word to say we're older and you're younger, but it's also a way for us to connect across the boundaries of culture, language, and age. And we all belong in one place. It's called humanity. We're very humble at the end of the day. We're all eager to make ourselves better, more relevant, more hip, more popular. Isn't that the goal of every humankind? So to me, it's basic. It's a basic need. I probably didn't use the word mentoring when I was young because, I didn't know that it's such a big word. I think I was using the word coaching more. I was hoping to find a coach for me, a coach to do this and a coach to do that. So imagine it's like a coach, a life coach or business coach or a marketing coach,
Yeah, it's interesting. I've heard women like you say that they get approached a lot by people wanting to be mentored by them. How would you suggest folks go to the people that they want to get mentoring from?
I think it's really, I've gotten a lot of them. I think it's very important to be very specific. Don't say, you'd be able to mentor me. It's too broad. And just say, hey, I'm a student at GW, and I'm trying to think about starting a business online, helping women with psychotherapy. And I know this is not your area, but I also know that you're very consumer oriented. How do I go about with marketing? Apparently, so I know exactly if I can't do it, or if I don't think I'm the expert in psychotherapy, who can help, and I can make those connections. I'm more than happy to do that. Or if someone's saying, I want to start a fine fragrance business, I think this idea of customized fragrances is happening, and I want to be the first one. Then I can really say something about that, because that's my industry. You know, fragrances is my industry. Customized consumer product is the trend, and I'll be very happy to. So be very specific and don't be too vague, and obviously be considerate of other people's time. So trying to keep information very tight.
Okay. All right, you guys, please do ask your questions. I appreciate it if you put it in the Q&A slot or put it in the chat box. That'd be great. And while they're doing that, I was going to ask you another question. So this piece about tough times, recessions, finding opportunity in times of recession, how do people open their minds to see opportunity? Do you have any suggestions on that?
Yes, absolutely. I'm already responding to one of the biggest trends that you probably know. There are three things during the recession that we are looking at, the trend in the consumer area. I'm just talking about consumer area right now. Number one is the focus on home spending. So we have seen people moving away from spending fashion or travel because they can't and they don't need, and the money has poured back into home. So there's new interest of how to set up a Zoom-ready office, or how to set up a co-working space for your family. I've heard about people setting up actually a room in their garden so their husband can work in one spot and they can work in another. So these are opportunities, right? I heard one of the best sellers on Amazon is one of those makeup rooms that you could go out and build, and it becomes an extra room. So what does that room need in air conditioning, in lighting, in furniture, so that it's, you know, it's easy to set up and easy to dismantle? Those are opportunities. And then if you think about retail business being so disrupted, right? We're looking at Pier 1 being bankrupt and closed.
Right.
Macy's almost cut into half, and JCPenney not doing that great. What does that mean to home furnishing industry? There are a lot more opportunities, right? And what does that mean to fashion industry? Lots of opportunity, particularly in my view, in the middle. We know Amazon's not known for fashion. And we know that people are not really that happy buying underwear for $20 for 10 pieces. You know, I don't know about you, but I'm not that desperate to buy my underwear with such a saving. So where are the opportunities, right? Opportunity in well-designed fashion, very good quality, and a piece of sustainability. Now we understand how bad they're polluting the waters when they make jeans. So being a jean company that truly stands for sustainability, truly stand for marketing to educate consumers. There are so many opportunities in fashion that can speak more directly to that consumer. And in the past, because of the channels are so focused on pricing, fast fashion, you are not able to demonstrate the capability. Now you don't have the Forever 21s in the world to be in the middle of you and the consumers. What are you going to do about that?
Very good. All right. So let's see here. I've got a question here from Case Lane. What type of preparation should women be doing to successfully pitch their businesses to investors? Pardon me.
Yeah, well, investors usually start with a one-pager. A one-pager is a document which addresses what is the problem, how you are resolving the problem, how big is the size of that problem in terms of that industry, the addressable market, and who are the other competitors, and why are you better? What are the investment size you're looking for? What are you going to use that for? So it's called a one-pager. If you Google it, you'll be able to find out. Why do I start there? Because you need to be very eloquently and efficiently convince people with a very short amount of time why you, not another business. So if you start there, it gives you a framework, a sandbox to build your own competitiveness, so that you could also expand it, right? So if someone really get interested in, say, okay, we like your one pager, come and pitch us in front of the committee of 5 investment advisors. Then you can expand it. But all good ideas start very simply. If you can't explain it simply, you have a problem. The second thing is being able to demonstrate. If you're a product company, you have to be able to demonstrate the difference between your product and what's out there and why is it better. If you're a service industry, you also must find ways to demonstrate. Nothing, seeing is believing. Mm-hmm. Seeing is believing. If you are a competitor against Uber for delivery food to people, you have to show why you are faster, cheaper, and better. Mm-hmm. So if you can't be more in any categories than your current competitor, it's very hard to convince investors, because that's what they're paid to do, is to ask those tough questions.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, Alyssa is asking, can you talk about taking on debt to invest in your business? Many women associate debt with only negative connotations, but in many industries, it must happen to scale. What are your thoughts?
I absolutely agree with this comment that women are not comfortable, which is sometimes is a good thing. We're not leveraging 3-to-1, for example, for our business. But I think leveraging is a very healthy thing, particularly in today's interest rate environment. It's going to be in very low interest environment in the next 5 to 10 years. There's no better time than now if you're qualified to borrow. It's really important because your competitors are doing that. And the bigger companies are so heavily leveraged that if you don't borrow, how can you think about the scaling, right? So yeah. I think there is a fine balance of how much you want to take on, but the question is absolutely, if you can, you should leverage. And always shop around. Don't settle for the first one that offers it to you. The truth is, there is ways to negotiate a lower rate. When you have relationship with your bank, they have the incentive to give you a better rate than a brand new lender. Sure. And I'll stay away from lenders because they have to make money from, 2 or 3 more middlemen. So your bank should be the one that you try to talk to always first.
That's you go to. Okay, all right. Amy Kessler is asking, I'd like to hear more of Mei's perspective on tumultuous times are a great time to start a business, particularly as the businesses relate to a service rather than a tangible product.
Well, I think services really is the one that has seen the polar opposite opportunities. If your services relate to consumers such as travel, hotel, you are definitely slammed. But I also feel this is a time to look at what other industries are doing. If you're a hotel industry, can you think about when customers come back, how do you make their stay more enjoyable? Can you think about food services that can be delivered if you don't have a very robust, restaurants or catering, so that everything can happen in your hotel versus, going to go out. So I think this is not a time for you to just feel sad, but really do a lot of preparation work and research work and networking and marketing to make sure you strengthen your vendor base and your platform. You can also be someone that benefits from this pandemic, because if you're a taxi service for food, you have incredible demand for your service. If you are a shipping company, incredible services. If you are food delivery, flower delivery, if you are nursing homes, you're seeing tremendous growth. The key is how to increase the margin, right? Right now, it's wrong to increase prices, in my view, because people depend on those services. But you could also think about value add. If you're already delivering food, can you think about pairing it with wine companies and deliver a glass of wine that goes with that? I was so amazed to see Instacart now delivering wine, and they pair it for you. If you like this kind of red wine, this is a package. You don't have to buy, the next time you buy 5 bottles of red, or, this is the value add, right? Rather than Instacart is going to be charging extra for every delivery, they say, how about we also deliver from Bed Bath & Beyond, your next shampoo or your next lipsticks. I'm making it up, but just so you know, they are delivering Bed Bath & Beyond goods, and they just have a new wine delivery service. And I say, why stop there? How about pairing it with flower delivery or cake delivery? this is the opportunity. And I do see if you're the kind that is curious and opportunity seems to be always the water is half full, not the half empty. Those are the things that is everywhere. It literally is everywhere. If you think about coaching students, right? So many families are struggling with coaching their kids because they're not learning as well with Zoom. You know, I can tell you we have 3 kids. I don't know how much they are retaining. So there are great opportunity for coaching them, not just at work, but also exercise. Where are they getting any exercise right now? They don't have PE, they don't have games. What are they going to be a year and a half from now in terms of their exercise? There's opportunities everywhere. I
Excellent.
do. I'm getting excited just thinking about what I need to do for my son for his exercise.
Excellent, excellent. And it's staying out of fear and worry and looking instead for what you could do, right? What's possible.
Yes, it's a mentality. It is a mindset.
Yeah, controlling your thoughts. Okay, other questions, guys, or I'll ask a few of my own. We're almost out of time. Okay, so let's see here. So why don't we go ahead and say at the end of the day, normally I like to ask people, what do you want them to have learned from you?
I think what you just said really hit home. I think unfortunately we're at this very unsettling time where nothing we do make it seems like it's feeling better or it's moving any needles. I do feel the good news is the world is in the same spot as you. It's not like you're being deprived and others are not. So don't feel sad for ourselves. It's time, women particularly, take advantage and we will see the changes that we want to see. We can't rely on other people. That's why I keep saying, I go back to my platform, right? When I finally did it, I feel good because there's so much that I want to do. And I was relying on other people, you know, to move some needles as a big corporation. Be the change you want to see.
Yes.
Join us.
Yes.
Join us, right? If you can't start prioritizing your holiday gifting on the channels such as mine, Yes She May, knowing every penny goes to these women, then stop complaining. That's what I say. I stop complaining. People don't bother to be the change they want to be, then stop complaining. Oh, I'm not listening. So join us. You know, I know it takes a long time, and if you know anybody at Facebook, Google, and you're an expert on marketing, we can use them for sure. We definitely have to learn our ropes. But thank you for inviting me.
Oh,
and
of course.
Yes, she may too, Donna. We have a great product. And don't forget, we want to partner with all the organizations. So yours, mine, and everyone in between. I think only when we don't create so many silos and try to bubble us in, let's knock down those barriers and try to work together. That's
absolutely
how together we can work together.
Absolutely. So guys, just FYI, I mean, I know a lot of you are service-oriented businesses. May and I are talking about product-oriented businesses and how we might partner with her and her team. I'm getting people asking about your website. Would you please tell them how to find you?
Yes, it's called Yes She May. And you can email me directly at mei@meixu.com. So it's MEI@MEIXU.com. And or you can go on Yes She May on our site and you can connect with us. We would love to get more consumer product companies on board. And our team is fast and furious. Every week we have a few companies that we are launching, and we're getting ready for spring 2021. Looking for party dresses, party dress, accessories. And we know when we finish this pandemic, we're going to go out and live the life we want to live.
Very good. Very good. All right. And by the way, guys, Yes She May is not spelled like her first name. It's MAY, right?
Yes.
So they get the right site. Okay.
She May.
Perfect. All right. So what are the top 3 actions you want folks to take after leaving the call today?
Number 1, write down your biggest dream, your biggest ambition, and keep somewhere you can see every day. Remember, you can do it. Really, if you can dream of it, you can do it. The second thing is reach out to your sisters, your mothers, your friends, even your neighbors. It's really that important. Number 3 is support each other. Really. If nothing else you can do, this is the minimum you can do. You have a purse, you can do it.
Exactly. Purse power, we have it. Let's use it. You
Yeah.
bet.
Purse,
You bet.
you are powerful. Tell yourself every day. Very good. Thank you
Very
so
good.
much, Donna,
All right. Well,
for
thank you for being here.
your patience and putting up with me and letting me talk. So sometimes I do get very passionate about where we are today, but we need to do more, and we are going to do more.
I am very excited about what you're doing. I want to support you in every way I can. I deeply appreciate you being here today. So thank you again.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure. And
sure.
I hope to do the same for you when we start our mini videos, because we know that we have opportunities at TikTok and YouTube. So stay tuned. We'll turn the table and you be my guest very soon.
Okay. Sounds great. All right. So I want to remind everybody that on November 13th, we've got Crystal Justice. She's with the National Domestic Violence Hotline. She's going to be online, as is I'm Safe Now. It's a product company run by a woman who's trying to give women a way to keep themselves safe in difficult situations. So she'll be sponsoring the call next week. Please sign up for a directory listing at pursepower.com. If your business has a female CEO or president, or it's half owned by women, or you have at least 20% women on the board, we want you on our directory. Please join, and you can have a free listing. Download our Google Chrome extension and add it to your Google Chrome browser, and it will show you the companies in our directory as you shop online on Google. And please do remember to use your Purse Power directory to find and buy from women-owned and women-led businesses. We'd love it if you would like and share our media pages. We're on all of the social media platforms, and let friends know about this broadcast that we do every Friday at 10 Central. So thank you again, Mei. Appreciate it. Hope you have a great weekend.
You too. Enjoy the beautiful time, beautiful weather.
Absolutely. All right, so everybody, one last time, Purse Power, we have it. Let's use it. Thank you for being here. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.